And congratulations for having your book published. Thank you all for coming to support us and support Carolyn. And so now I'm just going to turn it over to her because she doesn't have a brother. There are books here that she can sign. Some of you have already bought books, and then she can sign those afterwards. If you did not buy a book and you take one, just come to the front and you can pay for it then, okay? All right, thank you.
So today, I want to thank the people that actually made this happen. I was on Facebook. We have some great social media. I love it. But I was on Facebook and I saw a picture of a classmate of mine reading the book. His name was Louis Sacchetti. And when I saw the picture, I sent him a message, hey, let me know what you think about it when you get done. And so he inboxed me and shared, his response to it. And I was so moved by it. I said, well, if you liked it, tell your friends about it. And then the other thing I said to him is, and get me a book signing in Dixon. This is my hometown. I bet you it was less than 2 weeks later, Louis contacted me and said, Carolyn's all set up. And so Louis, I can't say enough. Not only did you read the book, you took it a step further, and I really, truly appreciate that. That means the world to me. Classmates and, growing up in Dixon was all a great experience for me. So I'm just so thankful that my friends are still my friends. It means a lot to me. Well, then I get a phone call from Larry Dunphy, the owner of this store, and he said, okay, we're ready to get things going. What do we need to do? And we just started moving. And I was extremely excited because to stand here in my hometown to share this story is monumental for me. It means the world to me. So I have to tell you a little bit about the book, and I'm not going to delay because I know there are people that have to leave, but I just want to share a little bit about how I came on this journey. It was in 2007, and God spoke to my spirit about writing the book. And I'm not going to give a lot away about the book because I want you to read it, so I hope I just pique your interest. But at the time, I didn't know how to write the book, so I was contacting different people, and I was going to try to find a ghostwriter. I tried to find different people. I even talked to a college professor in English, thinking they might be able to help me. And then on Labor Day of 2007, God woke me up at 4 in the morning and told me to write the book. And I remember laughing and saying, I can't write a book. I've never written a book. I write all the time, but writing a book is different. And I knew I didn't know how to do it, but I decided to be obedient and start writing the book. It took me about a year and a half. I wrote on it constantly. Every weekend, if I was traveling, because I stay in hotels, I could have the quiet time in the hotel. My husband and I went on a cruise, and we were all packed up to go. He goes, I know you're not taking your laptop. I said, yeah, I have to, because when things come to me, I just need to be able to write. So we're on this cruise, and I'm sitting out on our deck, working on my laptop. Because I took every moment I had to pour everything I had into the book. And then when I was done, like I said, it was about a year and a half later, I talked to some friends and they said they knew someone who could read it and give me feedback on it. So I sent the book, soft copy, via email, to a woman that I didn't really know at the time. We connected and she said she'd read the book and give me her feedback. So we had coffee at her house. And she brings out, she had printed it, so she brings out, the book was it was over 500 pages, and she brought out the book she printed in a box. Okay, so you wrote the book. So what? What do you mean, so what? I poured my life and my heart and soul into that book. You're talking about so what? I was so hurt. And she goes, okay, but what's the point? You told a very linear story of your life. What's the point? She kept talking. She was doing some idea mapping and things. I wasn't paying any more attention. This was my book. And she said, so what? So she gave me suggestions, and I left. I got in my car, and I was just so discouraged is probably the best word. Wow. But I never forgot the so what. I just wanted to raise her hand because the so what lady is here today. Diane, could you please just raise your hand? And that so what really drove me into finding out what is this book about? What is the purpose? What am I trying to say? I spent a lot of time in the beginning. I just wrote the book. Like she said, it was a linear story of my life. But then I spent time with God to say, what is it? What do you want me to talk? What's my purpose? What am I doing with this book? And the response I got back was me understanding. I had one word he gave me. Before that, it was, this really isn't about you. It's about perseverance through the issues of life and overcoming them. when you read the book, those of you who have read it know it's a very raw, personal, revealing story of my life. I tried to hold nothing back because I thought it was important for whomever God wanted me to write that book for to understand that we all have issues. We all do. We all have a story to tell if we just take the time to write a book. And it's not easy, believe me. But he gave me one word, and that one word was push. And when he gave me that word, I had this image that came into my mind. And the image was, push! Come on, Carolyn, push! And that was what the doctors were saying to me when I was pushing my children into the world. And that's where the image came in my head, is you've got to push this book into existence. You've got to bring it to the world. You have to bring it to life. And that's really what I just want to spend a few minutes telling you about, because to me, PUSH became an acronym. I started a coaching business, and it's called Keys for Empowerment, and it's about empowering people to push through their perceived limitations. But my acronym was Persevere Until Something Happens. And I know for you, and I don't, maybe not, but I always heard PUSH stood for Pray Until Something Happens. And so when I started, I would be out speaking, and people go, I know what that means, pray until something happens. Well, I believe in the power of prayer. But I also know that if all we do is pray and don't get up off our knees and start moving in the direction of the faith that we have and the things that we want to have happen, they're just words thrown into the wind. And so I want to talk a little bit about what perseverance is and what it means to me anyway. Perseverance is defined as a commitment in doing something despite of the difficulty or the delay in achieving success. And most of us are like I am anyway, one instant success or instant gratification from the work we're doing. But you have to be perseverant. You have to be determined. You have to be dedicated. You have to have endurance and staying power and be relentless. Stay focused, and you have to have guts. And I say that because to persevere, you have to push through your perceived limitations. When I talk about pushing through life's issues, which is what my book is about, it really is pushing through the perceived limitations. And perceived limitations are mental messages that really bombard our brain to stop or delay our ability to advance. It's the things that you sense or interpret as a barrier or a roadblock that prevent you from getting to your destiny. And those messages truly come to steal, kill, and destroy your purpose and your confidence. And they stop you from moving forward. Throughout my book, I share, what I had to push through. Whether it was something simple as I was left-handed and the teacher was trying to make me right-handed. And I had to go to the teacher and say, no, I'm left-handed and I'm staying left-handed. So I practiced and practiced my handwriting so they would leave me alone, because that was my identity. I had to push through the things of the color of my skin, even as a child, because I had my relatives were a different skin color than I was. I had to push through the fact that I was a darker skinned person. And then as I got into the business world, I had to push through the, racism and the things that were, coming at me, trying to stop me. And every time I had to say to myself, push through the fear and don't let anything stop you. So it doesn't really matter if you're a minority. It doesn't matter if you're gay or lesbian. It doesn't matter if you're Baptist or Methodist. It doesn't matter. Any of that. It does not matter. Perceived limitations, if you don't push through them, they'll dwell with you and they'll stay in your mind, and those perceived limitations will become your reality. And that's what you don't want to have happen. So when I say push, and again, when I say push, I did a speech a few years ago, and I said push so many times when I got home, I was so sore here, but I was pushing. But when I say push, I'm referring to transforming your thinking. Because pushing through perceived limitations is not just about human ability. Pushing through perceived limitations is a mental warfare that pushes you outside the realm of your ability and into a place that requires more of you than you believe you have. When I was told to write the book, I laughed. I've never written a book. I don't know what I'm doing. But I had to push through. The limitations that I had that I'd never done before, they didn't count. So when I say push, I'm telling you to tap into the power that's within you and being unwilling to let any of the perceived limitations, and I know you have them because we all do, I don't have enough money. I don't know how to do it. I'm scared. I didn't want to be here today. I was scared, but I knew I was going to be here. I don't have a college education. None of that matters. For you, you have to transform your thinking to eliminate the defeating mental messages of doubt and fear and just push. One of the things I want to share with you are some of the things, because I believe push is truly a force. And like I said, when you have women who've had children, you know what that force feels like. And dads, if you were there when they had those children, you heard them say push. You even probably practiced what that feeling was going to be like, telling her how to breathe, right? Well, pushing is that same type of force. And it should move you from your current state into the unlimited realm of your full potential. When you learn to push, you'll discover the unlimited power that's within you, and it was bestowed on you by your Creator before you ever got here. When you learn to push, you won't set any limitations on your abilities. Instead, you'll have the guts to pursue the impossible. When you learn to push, fear will be replaced by bold faith. And when you learn to push, when a door opens, you'll go boldly through it. And when there is no door, you'll create one. When you learn to push, you'll never allow anyone to define you, diminish you, or limit you. You won't let anybody come to you and say, well, I'm sorry you can't have that because you don't have a degree. Because I stand before you right now and say, a few things that you saw in the paper, the things that I've been able to accomplish were accomplished without a college education. But I have the ability to push. You know, I want to read something to you out of the book. Because when you learn to push, you'll stop making excuses and allow your gifts to come in touch with the opportunities, and you'll watch the magic happen. So let me just share something with you. The book you're about to read is an authentic, vulnerable account of my trials, triumphs, and spiritual transformations. I was created to live my life to demonstrate the power embedded in all of us. The power to push through limitations, whether they're real or perceived, and show the world the glory of God. As I end the book, I say, I was stretched to discover my own resiliency, challenged to build new levels of faith, and broken to learn where my strength comes from. I don't stand in anyone's shadow anymore. I am the bold and bodacious woman God says I am. We are all God's handiwork, gifts to this world. I've learned that God can use not only our greatest accomplishments, but also our greatest failures to accomplish His will. He knew who we were before we entered our mother's womb. And He designed long before we were here, the good works that He needed us to do. To move forward on our path, we must choose between fear and faith, and never be prepared to push. God taught me in my youth, and now that I'm gray-headed, I will use my experiences to declare the strength and power of God to this generation and the ones to come. And I speak in this book quite often of my Aunt Tuda, and I say she's right. God did have something for me to do, and I do it every day by trusting Him and being obedient to whatever He commands me to do. So what I'd like to ask you to do, I'd like to challenge you. After you've read the book, and I hope all of you buy every book I have here. So I challenge you to buy the book first. Anyway, but I challenge you to, can everybody say this with me? Push!
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 Pretend you're having a baby. Push! Persevere until something happens. Bring into life that thing that's inside of you that God wants to have to use to empower the world. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here, and I'm going to keep pushing. Thank you.